There is a specific time of night that feels haunted. For most people over 45, it isn't midnight. It is almost always between 2 and 4 a.m. You went to bed at a reasonable hour. You fell asleep just fine. But then, without warning, your eyes snap open. You aren't groggy. You aren't slowly waking up. You are instantly, aggressively awake. Your heart might be beating a little faster than normal. Your thoughts immediately latch onto a problem from yesterday, or a worry about tomorrow. You look at the clock, calculate how many hours you have left before the alarm goes off, and you feel a wave of frustration. You try to close your eyes, but it feels like a switch has been flipped in your brain. The harder you try to go back to sleep, the more impossible it becomes. This is what many call the witching hour, but in medical terms, it is often referred to as sleep maintenance insomnia. Most people assume this happens because they have a weak bladder or because they are light sleepers. They blame the dog barking or the streetlights outside. But the real reason you are waking up at 3 a.m. usually has nothing to do with noise, light, or your bladder. It is a metabolic emergency signal coming from your liver. To understand why you are wide awake while the rest of the world is asleep, we need to look at your body's fuel gauge. Your brain is an energy hog. Even when you are sleeping, it consumes a massive amount of glucose to keep your automatic functions running: breathing, heart rate, and cellular repair. For about 4 to 6 hours after your last meal, your blood sugar remains stable. But as you cross into the middle of the night, those levels naturally begin to drop. In a younger body, this drop is smooth. The liver quietly releases stored energy, glycogen, to keep the brain fed without waking you up. But as we age, our metabolic flexibility stiffens. We become less efficient at switching fuel sources. So around 3 a.m., your blood sugar drops slightly too low. Your brain, sensing a lack of fuel, perceives this as a life-threatening starvation event. It hits the panic button. To rescue you from this low blood sugar, your adrenal glands release a surge of adrenaline and cortisol. Why? Because adrenaline tells the liver to dump glucose into the bloodstream immediately. It is a survival mechanism. The problem is that adrenaline is also the fight or flight hormone. It is designed to make you alert, agitated, and ready to run from a predator. So, biologically, you have just been injected with a stimulant. That is why you wake up with your heart pounding. That is why your mind races. You aren't just awake, you are in a state of chemical arousal. Your body has sounded the alarm just to keep your fuel levels up. If you don't address this metabolic dip, no amount of counting sheep will help you, because your biology is currently fighting for survival. So how do we prevent the alarm from going off? And if it does, how do we shut it down instantly? We need to stabilize the fuel tank before bed, and we need a manual override for the brain if you do wake up. Here are 2 distinct, powerful ways to stop the 3 a.m. wake-up call. The first strategy is preventative. It is called the fuel bridge. Many people believe they should stop eating entirely after dinner to avoid weight gain. While we don't want a heavy meal, going to bed with an empty tank is exactly what triggers the adrenaline spike at 3 a.m. You need a tiny, specific anchor to keep your blood sugar line flat through the night. About 30 minutes before bed, try consuming a small amount of raw honey, about 1 teaspoon, with a pinch of sea salt, or a small handful of macadamia nuts. We aren't looking for a meal, we are looking for a slow-burning fuel. Raw honey is unique because it is stocked specifically in the liver as glycogen. It provides exactly the fuel your brain looks for during that 3 a.m. window. By providing this bridge, you prevent the blood sugar crash, which means the adrenal glands stay quiet, and you stay asleep. The second strategy is for when you do wake up. This is the 60-second trick to fall back asleep instantly. It is called cognitive shuffling. When the adrenaline hits at 3 a.m., your brain's sense-making center, the prefrontal cortex, turns on. It tries to plan, predict, and solve problems. This logical activity keeps you awake. To fall back asleep, you need to scramble this signal. You need to mimic the fragmented, nonsensical thoughts that happen right before you dream. Here is how you do it. Pick a random letter, like A. Visualize a word starting with A, like apple. Don't just say the word. Visualize the apple for a few seconds. Then pick another word starting with A, ant. See the ant. Then anchor. See the anchor. Do this until you run out of A words, then switch to B. Ball, bear, boat. This sounds simple, but it is neurologically profound. By forcing your brain to visualize random, unconnected objects, you shut down the logical, planning part of your brain. You are feeding the brain nonsense data. This signals to your nervous system that it is safe to disconnect. Most people cannot get past the letter C before they are unconscious. It is a manual override for the 3 Z's AM racing mind. However, there is a foundational issue we must address. You can use the honey and the shuffling technique, but if your internal fuel gauge is broken due to years of stress or dietary imbalances, your body will still struggle to stay in the deep, restorative zones. As we age, we often become deficient in the specific micronutrients that regulate insulin sensitivity and cortisol balance. If these regulatory mechanisms are rusty, the adrenaline spikes will keep happening, night after night. To truly fix the 3 a.m. wake-up, you need to support the body's ability to remain metabolically calm for 8 hours. There is a specific natural compound that is highly effective at stabilizing these nocturnal rhythms. It helps smooth out the metabolic bumps in the night, ensuring that your body doesn't hit the panic button while you are sleeping. Thousands of people who used to stare at the ceiling every night have found that replenishing this specific support is the key to sleeping through the witching hour undisturbed. I have placed the details on this natural support solution in the first link in the description below this video. If you are tired of waking up with a pounding heart and a racing mind, I highly recommend checking that link to see how you can support your body's natural ability to stay asleep. Sleep maintenance is about safety. By using the fuel bridge to prevent the crash and cognitive shuffling to override the wakefulness, you are telling your body that it is safe to rest. Once you stabilize your night, your days become infinitely easier. If you found these tips helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.